Hello and welcome to Frizz and the Grizz, week number 5. Man, 5 in the let's go.
5 of them things, baby. And like we always say, happy fucking Monday. Whew! What a Monday.
It's a good Monday. It's a Labor Day Monday, so we have an
Yes,
extra
sir.
day off. And hell yeah. Is there anything better than a Monday holiday?
Honestly, I thought Fridays you would think would be best, but like Monday is a little bit better because it's a shorter week, like leading into another weekend. When it's a Friday holiday, you're just like, all right, let's get to Friday. And then like when it's a Monday holiday, it's like you think about it Sunday night, or you're just like, oh damn, I don't have to work tomorrow. Word. It's just for me, it's a better feeling. I like Monday holidays better
That's
than
a
the
good feeling,
Fridays.
especially when football season's here after Sunday night, like the Sunday football slate. The only thing I will say is better than the Monday holiday is if people have the Thanksgiving Thursday Friday combination off, that's dope as hell.
It's clutch. There's a lot of companies that won't let you do that. They'll
Oh,
make you come back on that Friday. It's annoying.
that's
I mean I
why.
know I work from home, so I haven't even thought about it yet. But yeah,
Yeah.
that is a great combo. That because if you get off early Wednesday, because some companies would take care of you. Some
Oh,
companies would let you go late, go early, let go on Wednesday, so that you get an early half day Wednesday, off Thursday, off Friday into the weekend. Like that's pretty dope as a setup.
I used to have to do that to go in on Friday, dude. You have to go in like hungover from like
Mhm.
everything Thanksgiving. It's just the
Oh
worst.
yeah. Yeah, it's not even if you drink, you could just be full. Just
Mm.
food coma. Like, I don't want to get up. I'm lazy right now. Nobody here actually, like, if you're performing like customer service or anything like that, nobody wants to be there because like everybody's mad
Oh,
that they have to go shopping the day after Thanksgiving.
so we have a fun episode today. I feel like this is the first week that's been like popping in sports for us. We started in the very dead spot of the sports calendar, but tons of shit to talk about this week. We actually have a special thing for you guys, the listener. We have at the very end of the show, we're opening up the phone lines. We have a hot take line now. So the number's not there yet. I will throw the number on the screen. You guys can call in with your hot takes. You know, you can assess some of the takes we had on the show. If you hate them, you can argue with us. So it's a chance for you, the listener, to kind of be part of the show. You know, I think at Frizz and the Grizz, and D, you can correct me if I'm wrong with this. We want this to be like the community podcast, right? We want you guys to be invested in the show as much as we are.
Yeah, big time on that one. And I say it every time. I know you guys that have listened to me, when I'm streaming and gaming and whatnot. Same thing goes here with the podcast. Keep it respectful. Like, we all like to have fun. We want to make sure that this is as engaging as possible. But again, we want to make sure that people are respectful to, Trudeau and myself. Come in and hot with our hot takes. If somebody wants to call me out for something that I spoke for, I'm pretty sure somebody will call me out for something stupid. I got no problem with that, but just make sure that we give some jabs, but not too many bad jabs at each other.
Yeah, so that's a little bonus for y'all watching live. If you're listening on podcast, catch us live every Monday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern time. So let's get right into it. I feel like we're going to start with a lot of college football. And I think the biggest thing, and I think something that you and me disagree on, we were getting at it via text, was like the whole NCAA college football expansion, right? Because we both
Mm-hmm.
had different opinions right off the bat with it. And I want you to give me your opinion. I'll tell you, the audience, why I disagreed with what Darian had to say.
Yeah, so right off the bat, this is long overdue. This is something that should have been talked about years ago. I remember, if you want to go all the way back to my analytical report in English class for college, I literally wrote about this, and it was because businesses that are, terrible. The NCAA is a terrible business. I literally wrote about this 15 years ago. To have only four teams at the time, the BCS was trash, but to have only four teams competing for the championship every year, like that fifth, sixth team, there's usually somebody else that's undefeated, one loss. That there's usually an area of like, oh, are they in? Are they not in? 12 teams is perfect. Now you get every conference, give everybody the opportunity to compete for a championship, similar to the NCAA basketball tournament. Like, let these teams play on the field instead of letting reports and computers decide who's the best team. It's annoying that like it took this long. Granted, we still have to wait another 4 years. It's 2026 is when it's going to be launched. But now we don't have to worry about like if there is a potential Boise State. Granted, it was a one-time thing, but that's all it takes. And then all of a sudden you have the Clemsons of the world. Clemson wasn't anything 10 years ago. And it's like now they're a full-fledged like powerhouse. All they needed was one chance. And like you can think about it. I think it was UCF a couple years back where they were the only undefeated team that year. Granted, they got smacked in the bowl, but
No,
like
no, 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 no. They won the bowl game. They
no,
beat
they
Auburn.
played LSU the next year. That's what I'm saying.
I'm
Like
thinking about the other year.
they went undefeated, and then they went undefeated again, and they were like, we deserve to be, and then they got smacked by LSU. That was the game that changed Joe Burrow's life, because he got rocked in it. But like, not to go off on a tangent, but like that's like it's overdue. And I know where you're gonna hit with this one, but like for me, it's more of being a fan of the game and being a player where it's like I want to see the best teams on the field competing for championships. I don't want to see the same 4 over and over, because when there's 12, you're not going to get the same 12. It's just not possible that many eggs in the basket are going to produce the same teams.
Yeah, I think we approach this news with different lenses. So you are a bigger college football fan than myself. Like, I'll watch it, but you are someone who's super invested in college football. I'm more of a professional NFL guy. And for me, the first thing I thought of was, wow, they're going to make a shit ton of money by having an additional, I don't know what's going to be like 6 to 10 extra games on TV, like big time games. So
Mm-hmm.
the revenue generation that like ESPN or ABC is going to make is huge, and none of that money goes to the players. So my first thought is, it's just a big. It's not. There's many schools of thought, right? Like for you, you're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this makes sure that you get the best possible champion, which I agree. I wish the schools and like the networks were approaching it the same way, where they wanted to have a good champion. They're not concerned at all about who the hell wins this championship. They're concerned about how can I get more money for myself. And that's where my issue is with the whole situation.
The way that I see it, though, is this is baby steps, because granted, 5 years ago, if you asked me the question, I would have said absolutely not. I am and still am a big advocate of not paying players. Just not. It's going to, it ruins the little bit of competitive advantages that some schools have, because they're not paying players. You start to pay these kids.
I do have a
Alabama. Oh, let me finish this one. Alabama, USC,
right.
Texas, the teams that have the most money will now be the best teams.
So
Granted,
why
like
do you think they have the most money?
boosters, I
Okay.
understand that there are people, there are also more celebrities that are giving back to those schools because they're a fan of those schools. Those celebrities aren't trying to help out
So
Michigan State. You know what I'm
here's the
saying?
problem with your argument, though, is you're saying that your Alabamas, your Texas, your USC's of the world, they have a lot of money because of boosters, and then if they have a lot of money because of boosters, the program can pay the players as much money as they want to get those players.
Yep.
You don't think already, even before NIL, that these boosters weren't lining the pockets of the players? Do you think? I want to honestly. Do you think that this wasn't happening before?
Absolutely. It definitely was.
So,
I'm not naive to that.
so what changes fundamentally if the players get paid versus what has already been there historically? Because we're seeing a little bit of it now. Like, it's all been kind of under the table. And granted, people have been caught before. Like, I think Miami had this giant. I don't know how long their ban was. There's been other schools that's been banned because of
SMU never recovered because of it.
exactly. So, but we're now seeing this on the surface level with NIL, where this NIL stuff isn't just your Joe Schmo car wash giving someone $100, right? This is legitimate money that's being funneled by the boosters to the players. So, like, we're seeing the amount of money that's been pumped into college football, like on the surface level now. And I don't think anything changes if the school has to give out money.
Right, but who sets the salary cap for this is what I'm saying. Is there going to be a salary cap? Is there a difference between D1, 2, 3, D1 AA? Like, again, it's a relative topic, but I know you said Joe Schmo's car wash. Look, I'm not by any means a professional athlete, but if Marisol's Cafe was going to pay for my, my not room and board, but they just paid for my like food for me to promote Chippies at Cressy, like I'd be happy with that. Granted, it's not like $100,000, but like you're giving me the opportunity to pay for a little bit of the school, but not getting like actual cash. Like, come on, man. Like, if
I
UMass Dartmouth started paying people just in the D3 level, like they don't have the opportunity to do stuff that like Curry College
Yeah.
or UW Whitewater, like those schools.
So I don't want to get caught up in the minutia of what is right paying the players or not. But let
Yeah.
me ask you this: let's say Alabama, let's say everyone can pay whatever they want to players, right? At some point, Alabama's money runs out. At some point, your Michigan, not Michigan State, maybe like a Western Michigan spends $4 million on the 10th best quarterback. They take all of their budget and throws it at the 10th best quarterback, and they get them to join their school. I feel like, if anything, being able to pay the players will actually take the talent and spread out more evenly, because you can't have one school pay the 10 best defensive players, right? The market will kind of level out where players end up.
That
I just
money.
think, yeah, my biggest thing about this whole should players get paid debate is that we go straight to the competitiveness on the field and we glance past the fact of the matter is that these players are generating hundreds of millions of dollars for the school and they get nothing. We glance past how unfair the system is to the players as it is. We just say, well, it'll make my viewing experience unfair. Well, guess what? You know what's unfair? Busting your body, breaking bones, putting in all this work and making shit tons of money for the school. And we're just like, then the answer is like, well, we don't know how to make it work, so we're just not going to try.
But they also get an education out of it. And granted, that's not the traditionalist people that want to hear. Like that's for me. That you're getting a free education,
Okay.
something that other people are not benefiting from. Like people that have hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt from schools that aren't called Alabama, North Carolina, USC, like Florida State, any of those. Like those kids, those 60, not even, I think they can roster 90. Those 90 to 100 student athletes that are on the football team don't have to pay a single thing when it comes to schooling.
Okay. Well,
Like that's $20,000 a year times 4.
let me ask you this. In 2022, the Big Ten network or the Big Ten conference signed a 10-year deal with CBS and NBC. How much do you think that deal was worth?
I know it's an astronomical amount because they're splitting with the SEC now.
They signed a 10-year deal worth $350 million annually for 1 year. 1 year. So that means I don't know how many. It's called the Big Ten, but there's like 12 schools now. I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
So essentially, each school is taking in approximately $30 million a year for the football rights. You're telling me that a couple scholarships is the same thing as 35 or $30 million?
No, that's relative. Like that's not apples to apples though. But I get your point, but that's not apples to apples.
My point is like we don't look at any other job market and say it's totally fair that management is making 99% of the salary and we're making 1% because you would have people on strike.
Fair enough, but if you want to go the workplace mentality, what if employers started paying for people's benefits? That's essentially what colleges are doing by providing them with free education. If the workforce were allowing people to work and they were paying for their benefits, health insurance, dental, all that, that would be the same thing.
So
That's essentially the same thing.
You would be okay with people making pennies on the dollar if they had their housing taken care of by the work.
I don't count other people's money. I don't scratch
But
my head unless it
the
itches, and I don't
analogy-
dance unless I hear some music. I don't care. Like if my company is gonna pay me benefits to work there and get a salary, I don't care if they're making all this money, man. Like that's you. One of these days, hopefully I'll be in their position to make that type of money. But while I'm on the ground level, the brute work, all that, I don't give a damn about how much money somebody's making. Man, I don't count somebody else's pockets.
I mean, it's easy to say when it's not you being exploited. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
okay. Fair enough. We'll agree to disagree. So
table that one.
We'll table that for another time. But I think this all goes back to the idea of the expanded playoff, right? Because you're going to have players playing more games. You're going to have the NCAA generating more money. And to me, the crux of the matter is that all that money is going to the schools. It's just lining more pockets. But let's talk a little bit about actually how this would work out, right? So there's going to be 12 teams. Essentially, the top 4 seeds will get a bye. So there's definitely an advantage to finishing the top 4.
Yep.
I believe then like 5 to play the 12, 6 to play 11, so on and so forth. And then you'd have in the current system, if you're a top 4 seed, you play 2 games. That'll move to at least 3 games, right? And then for the lower seeds, 5 through 12, you'd play either 3 to 4 games to get to the championship. I think actually it'd be 4 games to get the championship. So that's why where I find it to be offensive is that you're asking these kids to play 4 more games of football for free. But it is what it is.
Like I said, it's relative because those games are already happening right now. If you're getting ready, the college football playoff is now is adding 2 playoff games. Plus, if other teams weren't playing if other teams are playing bowl games, there's your 3rd game right there. So it's essentially the same exact thing.
Can we just like, I don't want to get caught up in this whole thing. I watched a game last night. I think no, tonight on Monday we have Clemson versus Georgia Tech.
Yep, it's out
And
right now.
literally it's like the Chick-fil-A kickoff presented by Progressive, brought to you by Allstate on and the kids are making $0 off of that all that advertisement. So screw you, NCAA.
Yeah.
You must be excited though. As a fan of college football, you must be excited about
I'm
this.
hyped, man. It was some of the best news college football has brought. Essentially, like when I knew they were scrapping the BCS, I was happy. I was hyped that they got it to 4 teams. You just knew that there was going to be issues with 5 and 6. There's always going to be issues that close. Top 5 is really hard to like differentiate, especially when there's one loss teams. When you
Yeah.
get to that 12 area, best 12, 9 through 12 don't really matter as much.
I want this. If you like parity, right? Because you've been on here already saying I want parity. I want everyone to be competitive.
Yep.
I don't want the best 12 personally. I want pick the 5 major conferences or 6, however many you want, automatic entries.
Mm-hmm.
So if you win the Pac-10,
the ACC, the Big 12, Big 10, the Pac-12, and the SEC. Those are the
I would
Power
like
5.
to even expand it to a couple more. Like I want to have maybe this Conference USA or the AAC. Was it ACC, AAC?
The American. It used to be the Big East.
Yeah, give me the American Conference, right? Give me the Mountain West. Like I want all the conferences to have a chance to get in because it makes those conference championships games so much more important. Plus, if you want to see the little teams actually do something and get better, would you rather go to Old Miss and never have a chance at a playoff, or would you rather go to the best Mountain West school and maybe have a chance to play for a national championship?
Right, and I'm with you on that one. I think it should be every conference championship winner should go to the college football playoff.
Because one of my issues is like I kind of like the 4 situation now, only because if you lose one game, your season can be done.
Season's done.
It makes every week super, super exciting. And I feel like if you have 12 and just say best 12, you're going to have maybe 3 lost teams in there. So it doesn't really, it kind of diminishes the value of each week in college football, which that's kind of what makes it special. Because if you're in the NFL, you lose 4 games, you're peachy. That's fantastic. You lose 2 games in college football, forget about it.
You're done.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know what the segue is, but yes, if you say right now, the way that the college football setup is, one loss, you can still sneak in. Couple national championship teams have one loss on their schedule. Have one loss on their schedule. 2 games, you're out of there. You're literally out unless something magical happens, which I think we saw in 2012, 2010. But yeah, usually 1 loss teams are good. 2 loss teams, no chance. So you will see that. You'll see the Ohio States, Michigan. They beat each other in one part of it, but they still get a chance to compete for the national championship. And then they get snake bit by another team 1 week because they just didn't show up. So like a 2-loss team, but still like a powerhouse 2-loss team will still be able to compete in that.
I do have a question is like we're saying adding the extra teams will make it so much more open and fun and competitive. But do you honestly think there's a chance for anyone outside the top 3? Because usually when we watch the college football playoffs, the number 4 seed just gets smacked.
True. I think you'll see a lot, very similar to what you were just saying with the point of people that may want to go to certain schools if they have the opportunity to play in the playoff. I think you'll see a lot if you have the top 2 teams. Those guys are going to blow out any of those 10 to 12 seeds. It's just going to happen. But those 4 and 5 seeds, they can get clipped because all it takes is somebody that, an Oklahoma of the past. They think that they can just show up and beat Boise. No, it's not how it works. Or I think Oklahoma even did the same thing against Utah. Like a team that's out west, you just think that they just spread the ball and we'll be fine. No, like those teams, they want it. They want to prove that they should be there. If you have, like I said, the 3 to 4 lost teams at like 11 and 12, that's going to be a blowout for whoever's there.
Awful.
But if you have, your second place ACC winner, Miami or Virginia Tech, as opposed to Clemson, those teams could clip a 4 or 5 seed. Like it could happen.
Yeah, I'm here for it as long as they get the auto ends to some of these conference winners because I think that'll make it wicked fun.
Absolutely.
So speaking of like 1-loss teams making the playoff, there's one loss team always every year. Like this team's always like a 1 loss and somehow they get thrown into the mix. And that's Notre Dame, and they're already a 1-loss team. So we're going to jump into the week 1 stuff. I wanted to ask you, let's start with that game, Ohio State versus Notre Dame.
So controllable chaos, right? And granted, I know they got a new head coach. Love to see that, the NCAA, or at least some teams, are doing their best with, affirmative action, hiring minorities, because I think he's the first Black African American coach in Notre Dame history. So like I appreciate it. I respect that. Didn't help them. Ohio State's just that much better. And not only is Ohio State better, it's controlled chaos. So everybody looks at the box score and they go 21-10. They go, oh my goodness, it was a close game. Like, they scored late and they kind of blew it open after that. No, they handled them the entire game. CJ Stroud quarterback proved that he's a Heisman hopeful again, that he's a top 5 draft pick in the NFL this year again. Like, he's just, that team is just that much better. And when they wanted to turn it on, they could. So it was good to see Notre Dame doing what they could out there. But again, they're never going to, I won't say never. They are going to be a hard 1-2 loss team every single year, and it's always a big game that happens to them.
Notre Dame is, in my opinion, the most fraudulent team in college football every year, because they finish with 1 or 2 losses, but they'll play 1 or 2 hard games in the regular season and lose them, and then they'll just beat up on cupcakes.
Blow up on Navy, Army, all those other teams that aren't dependents.
It's such a no, let's say, let me really quick. It's such an easy, great thing for Notre Dame to be like, hey, we have these historical rivalries. We have to play them. Oh no, woe is us. And they play Navy, Boston College. I mean, USC, granted, they've been bad for the past couple of years, but their rivalries are so cupcake, and they just cakewalk through the regular season.
I made this analogy and I laughed when I said it. I was just like, Notre Dame they always have this expectation of being really good every single year. And then they fall on their face. They're literally like the worst Americans. Ooh, they're the Cowboys of college football. And like, I lost it. It was like every single year, it's the same thing. It's their back. They have new facilities, a new head coach. Like, we're running a whole different offense. We're going to come back out here and do absolutely nothing. They're going to lose. Again, the biggest game that they could play. It just happens every single year.
I had a tough time watching that game because I legitimately don't like either of those teams. I couldn't tell who I wanted to win more. I think if I had to pick though, man, I just can't stand the Ohio State people. I don't know what it is. I think it's because they believe they own the word "the," so it kind of
try to trademark that.
Yeah.
Did they do it? I know that there was talks about it, but I don't know if they actually got it.
How can you trademark the word "the"? Like, everything written ever, you have to pay Ohio State money for using the word "the." Or they invented it or something.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. I was just like, this is just incredible. Yeah, Ohio State's a team that hard to root for unless like you're dead up into because again, they're one of those underachieving style teams.
I think it also was Urban Meyer just being there for a while rubbed me the wrong way. I'm going to be pulling for Michigan this year because that's really the only team that I think that can dethrone them. There's always like the Iowa who starts the season 6-0 and falls off, but I need someone to just, because Ohio State
beat them.
I know Ohio State's always good for that one loss. They're always good for that one loss, and then they always make it in for some reason because the name.
That's it. It's a sexy name that put up in like you said, it's about the money, but it's a sexy name to see Ohio State championship. Like, no matter what phrase it's put in, they love not boosters, the people that like pick all that stuff with the computers and what analytics. They love seeing Ohio State up there as opposed to Michigan State. But you mentioned Michigan. Michigan wrapped off. They blew out Colorado State. They're in a 2 quarterback system. Said it for years. If you got 2, you don't have 1. I don't understand why they're doing this. They got I think it's like McNamara is their starter, and he's like the seasoned vet. Went out there, he did his thing, no turnovers, limited passing because again it's a blowout. And then they got the sophomore JJ McCartney, and like they started McNamara, and the announcers are talking about JJ being the starter for the next week, and I'm like, why? Let the man play. And of course they subbed him in and out, and like they went back and forth. And it's just like, I get it. It's Colorado State, but like, I'm not like, if I'm a senior or a junior, you're waiting your turn. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey man, this is my team. You should have beat me out in camp. So like, I just don't like the 2 quarterback system thing. Granted, like I said, they beat Ohio State last year with it. Who knows if it'll work again? But like, they look good. Again, it's Colorado State, but you shut out anybody in any sport, it's good, let alone when you hang half 100.
I thought week 1, like usually week 1 is a pretty bad slate of football because there's a lot of blowouts. There's not really any conference games in week 1.
I'll do this for you.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of big schools paying little schools to get their ass kicked.
Well, I'm saying the big name week 1 games now, though. It's
It was good.
all because of, like you said, Chick-fil-A college football kickoff presented by Geico with a progressive, thing in the back. Like that's why you're seeing these games. Also, teams are scheduling years in advance. So like they're like, oh, I think we'll be good. Let's take on this team in 4 years. And like then they get good, and now it's a big game, and you like have to actually like promote that.
Yeah, I do think it was a pretty considering the non-conference games scheduled. I thought it was a pretty good slate. There were a couple games that really interested me. I'll go with one of mine that I was really surprised by, and I'll let you kind of go because I only watched a few games. I don't know how much you watched this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked at the Georgia Oregon score. I was shocked. If you don't know Georgia, they were in the national championship game last year. They won the
Yes.
SEC last year.
They won the national championship last year.
So they had a phenomenal defense, like a historic defense last year, and they actually lost to the NFL draft this past year. I think 15 players. So like every starter gone. So you would think they'd have a fall off, but good God, they throttled Oregon. So let's see, Georgia, I believe, was ranked 3rd. They finished with 49 points to Oregon, who was 11th ranked, 3 points. It was not even close. And
no,
I'm super surprised. I'm glad because I don't want to see Alabama just kind of steamroll the SEC. Although I don't think they play each other this year in regular season.
It's just SEC championship if they do.
But man, that game really shocked me.
It didn't. And I know get the casualness, which is fine, man. Like I if you pick up more in college football because of like this, I got no problem with it. But the writing was on the wall. Each and every year, Oregon, they schedule a top dog team. They use it as their strength of schedule for the end of the season. They get blown out every beginning of the season because they'll take on an SEC team. A couple years ago it was LSU. This year it's now, Georgia. They're doing their best. You know what I'm saying? Like they're a good team.
They got money.
Yeah, what they'll do is they'll take this on the chin. Granted, I don't think they wanted to get blown out like that, but they'll lose this, rip off 10 to 11 wins, and then they'll use it. Hey, we played Georgia at least.
I mean, it doesn't help you if you lose by 40 points, but it is what it is for them. I will say, for Oregon, they did lose their head coach, Mario Cristobal. He left for the University of Miami, and I believe he took a lot of assistants and some players left. So that 11 ranking for Oregon might have been a little fraudulent. It might have just been reputation from last year. I'm not sure if this actually is a legitimate 11 overall, but that was still super impressive because they waxed them like you would wax like a Division II school.
They're good. They are good. They are so good. Granted, Stetson Bennett is like the Heisman hopeful for the team. The returning lovable quarterback. Looks good out there. Dude, they have a tight end. His name is Darnell Washington. He's the guy that leaped over a man on the sideline. He's 6'7", 270 pounds. One of the largest offensive players I have ever seen. And like when he left the ground, when he left the earth, it was like, wow, that's a big guy jumping like that. And like I texted and tweeted like a couple of my friends, like, you guys see that guy just jump off to the ground? And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, he's 6'7", 270. He's a sophomore. They just breed these, like they just keep coming like that. We thought Giannis Antetokounmpo was like a freak of nature. Like first we saw LeBron, we got lucky to see 6'8", 250, and then Giannis out of a bottle, 6'10", 270, moves like a guard, but like is big man like Shaq. And then this motherfucker 6'7", 270, leaping over people. Like I said, I could play in the NFL. Not a chance. I could play D1, bro. Not against that. Like I'm humble now at 35. Like not a chance of playing against that. Like, would you want me to tackle him, coach? Come on. I'm going to make a business decision.
So were there any other games that caught your interest in week 1?
Caught my interest. I mean, I'm wearing the purple for a reason.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll say that at the end, yeah.
I mean, a lot of blowouts, but a lot of controlled games that like you got to see like where everybody was. We got to see exactly what Alabama did. Ohio State, obviously, like you mentioned. I want to see DJ tonight with Clemson. I'm checking in like here and there, but like I haven't really checked the game or whatnot. That week 1 provided what I wanted it to provide. There wasn't anything that was like going to show, hey, this is the game that we're going to talk about for a week, except for what happened last night. That's the game that,
We'll get to that. Yeah, we'll
yeah.
get to that. The only thing I was hoping for is I love to see one of these schools who pay a lesser team come play them and get their ass kicked. And I was praying so bad. I was watching NC State. Weird enough, I was watching NC State and ECU, and it was a one.
Hey, yep. Go ahead.
Oh no! Did you also see the craziest game?
The North Carolina onside kick. Is that what you're going to talk about?
No, App State, North Carolina was like a basketball score. I think it was like 63 to like 60 or some shit.
So I won't lie. It's fun because like it's good being in an area where like I go to the store and people saying go state. Yeah, dude. Like it was awesome. But like there are people that will say go state down here because they're an NC State fan. North Carolina, ECU, Appalachian. It's Appalachian State, by the way, not Appalachian. So say it right. But like that game, I got to watch like bits and pieces of both of those games, and I was like, oh, this is kind of dope. Like 4 Carolina teams going at it, man. I like it. But like they were all good games. So like if you get a chance to recap those, definitely check them out. ECU looked good. Appalachian and North Carolina, that game was ridiculous. That onside kick from the North Carolina game, I have never seen that in my life.
I felt bad for the players.
There's no way they expected it. It's never happened. Not once. I don't think the receiving team has ever done that.
Do you think that a kid on App State saw that and was just like, yeah, this is the last day I play football. Like, that's it. I'm done.
Maybe. But no, it was in a chance that like they were actually needed to like win to help them. So like you got like starters out there. You got guys that are like, yeah, onside kick. Hey, front line, get down in the stands, take them all out. But like they're running high, right? They're running high to then, clip them. And then North Carolina was like, all right, snap. And they just took out everyone. Oh, that was dope. I love that.
Where you are in North Carolina, have you been there during basketball season?
Yes, I was there I was here for the Coach K last game at North Carolina.
Are you in like a North Carolina Tar Heels area, or are you in a Duke area? Like how do they roll?
I'm outside of it. I'm outside of Raleigh. So this is the area that everybody is like not split. Neutral. Yeah, but like you can drive down my street and you can see State, NC, Duke, Appalachian, Wake Forest. Like you can see a whole bunch of different schools on the same street, and then it'll just repeat. You go into, we went to Sam's Clubs today, and that's, this side is promoting State, this side is promoting Carolina, this side is promoting Duke. So it's crazy, man. I love it. Love the atmosphere for college sports.
All right, so we talked about a lot of teams that were playoff hopefuls, teams that could finish top 4. Before we get to the next topic, do you have a prediction for your like top 4 right now to make the college football playoff? If you had to just rat-tat-tat, 4 guesses.
I'd say Georgia finishes 1 just because of the way that they look. Bama finishes 2 because people but like they'll just drop a spot just because of the name. I think that people want to get Georgia to be 1. I think Michigan could be the top 3 this year. They look good, and they finally got over the hump of beating Ohio State. I find it hard to keep putting Ohio State in the top 5, but here's a sleeper for you, just because like nobody likes to play them, especially now that they're in the SEC. Texas A&M. A&M is a team is scary good. They're a hell of a home team, and now that they're in the SEC, like they have that powerhouse mentality, and they play a rough schedule. Like they'll play Auburn, they'll play Georgia. Even at the 1-loss team, like if they keep it close if they keep it close and lose to Georgia, like people will reward them for that.
All right. No, I appreciate that. So we talked about your top 4. Let's talk about 2 teams that won't be in those top 4.
I mean, 3 or 4 of them. Oh man.
You just saw the update on the thing, huh? So we're going to talk about the game last night, LSU versus Florida, because I alluded to 2 teams that would not be in those playoffs. So if you don't know, Darian is a huge LSU fan, and he was peppering me last week. LSU, they're going to be nice this year. Like FSU, LSU game's going to be dope. Like watch. So I don't usually watch the games, but man, I watched from start to finish the last night's game. I'm so happy I watched that game because that game was phenomenal.
It was a beautiful game to watch. For non-college fans, if you tuned into that as a game, you'd be happy. Like, this is what college football is like. Like the atmosphere, the game itself, the ups and downs, the peaks and valleys. Like it was a great back and forth game. You even thought a part of it was over, and then you realize that these are kids and mistakes happen when kids are involved. the lights shine bright. I've been in situations that happened last night, so like I can put myself in those spots and be like, wow, that happens because it's you're a college football athlete and there are 100,000 people watching in the stadium and millions of people watching on TV.
Yeah, I think the funniest thing for the audience is this is kind of how this went. So I was watching the game. Darren's watching the game. I know he loves the LSU Tigers. The pump muff happens, right? So LSU loses the ball. Everyone's like, "Oh, the game is over," because at this point, FSU's up a touchdown. I just text him, "Bruh," and Darren's just like, "Oh man, like this stupid shit keeps happening." Blah 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 blah. FSU gets to the 1 yard line, fumbles. I'm like, "Dude, you're back." LSU drives all the way down to the 1 yard line or something like that, scores, and I just text him, "Wow, and you were ecstatic."
I was
and all of a sudden, the extra point misses, and I just go, "Bruh." the thing is, Darian's on delay. He doesn't know what's about to happen. I see the kick go doink, and I'm like, "Oh man, bruh!" And he just goes, "Let's fucking go!" So excited because he thinks he's about to win this game or go to overtime, and I'm like, "Oh no, this man doesn't know his team just lost the game."
So I usually, because I stream everything, as you can see here, I turn off my phone, right? Not turn off, but like I'll turn it over and like it doesn't usually go off or anything like that because I'll feel it on this. And then like anybody that's texting me, calling me, anything like that, I'm like, wait till the game's over because I'm not trying to look at my phone and have it spoiled. You spoiled the first one when you wrote bruh because it was before the fumble. And I was like, what? And then it happened. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I flipped my phone over. I was like, I'm not doing this. Not tonight. So like I didn't walk away. I sat here staring at the TV. I was like, just do something, cause some type of accident, or give up a touchdown, get them in the end zone quick. And then I literally saw them snap and go to pitch. I was like, they're toss. And he fumbled. I was like, oh, like I lost it, but I can't yell because everybody's sleeping upstairs. And I felt my phone vibrating, everybody going back and forth. I'm like, all right, shut up. Like, I'm trying to watch the damn game. They drive down the field. And again, the reason why I knew this was going to be a bad signing is because Brian Kelly is not for the big moment. It happened again. Like, I think his name is Jaden Daniels. This kid came out of nowhere, right? Sophomore quarterback, like Jaden Jefferson. Sorry. Like it came out Daniels. It is Daniels. Sorry, I'm getting Jordan Jefferson and Daniels mixed up because he looks like Jordan Jefferson from the old days. The kid came out of nowhere and drove them 99 yards. Like, you know how hard that is to do, whether you get a timeout or not. What's up?
It was soft coverage.
It doesn't matter. Still, 99 yards is not easy to do. All it takes is one bad pass or somebody gets tackled in bounds. Like, you still have to, like, I get it's easier with college because the first downs and the timeouts, but like you still have to maneuver 99 yards. And that happened. When they did that, this is again the moment that you separate yourselves from good to great. You can't take that momentum after 3 botched special teams like issues and then say, all right, special teams, let's go tie the game. Like you got them on the rope.
You wanted them to go for the 2.
I wouldn't have. I'm a fan of take the points. That's not a situation where you take the points. They literally they have a hot quarterback. Like the game even tried to like help them out, but not even help them, like screw him over by saying, "Is he out of bounds? Is he not out of bounds?"
I lost that game there though. Like being honest, because he was in bounds on that like when the player.
They could have just got up and snapped it though. They could have just got up and snapped it.
It's not a rolling clock there.
No, so there is a rule that the referees can't in college football, which is a stupid rule. They can decide if it's a rolling clock if a player's downed in bounds because of their timeout. Gotcha. So like he's trying to get out of bounds. He's down obviously with their rule, and they called the timeout. Like they could have just got up and spiked it. The referees paused the game, so like they weren't going to run the clock because of that.
I'm not going to sit here and shit on Chip Kelly today. Or
Brian.
We did this before the show. It's not Chip Kelly. It's Brian Kelly. I don't know why we keep doing the Chip Kelly thing.
They look alike. I tell you that. Old dudes that run the same style offense. I wasn't even going to say that. They just old dudes that keep running the same offense.
But I'm not going to fault him for the mistakes that happened. The block kick, it happens. The muff pump, like he's not the one on the field. I thought they did a great job getting down the field on that long drive to almost tie the game. The play calling was great. They played good tempo. They found guys open. I think the problem with LSU, honestly, is like their quarterback. he's a phenomenal athlete. It seems like I just don't see his passing ability. Like
Right.
when you see the FSU quarterback, I don't know how good he's supposed to be. That kid looked very good. Like he had
3-step, 5-step drop balls out.
it wasn't even that. He was very efficient at moving around in the pocket and just getting the ball on a dart in the pocket, avoiding guys. He reminded me of. I mean, he's not this type of guy, but the way he played reminded me a lot of Patrick Mahomes, where he can just kind of easily move around
Keep
the
the play
pocket,
alive. Yeah.
just get the ball out. But I think that's going to be a problem for LSU going forward is their quarterback play and their offensive linemen. I don't know how good. Again, I'm not a college football expert. I don't know how good FSU is. I know last year they weren't so great and they've been bad historically the past couple of years. I was surprised how easily their defensive line broke through like one-on-one pass blocking of LSU. So I would be concerned from that point of view for yourself. Going forward, though, like Brian Kelly is not known as a game day coach. His specialty is recruiting. And I think even when he went to Notre Dame, they were pretty bad for a couple of years before he got all his guys in there. So I know you love the Tigers. I'm just saying, give it some time because I'm feeling like with the SEC and his recruiting ability, long term it'll be better.
Possibly. I don't like you said, the game day part of Brian Kelly. Like
Not that guy.
yeah, I get that Notre Dame historically the last 5 to 10 years while he was, under head coach, like they were in the top 5 for recruiting. I'm not in for it for recruiting. The name LSU gets recruits, right? Like it's Louisiana State, university just coming off of a national championship in 2020. So like it's not like they don't have the reputation that they need a coach to pull in recruits. See what I'm saying? Like their name, their prestige will pull in people just because their state, like dominant athletes out of Louisiana will pull in athletes. Yeah. So like I get that. I just the big games that are going to always hurt. Those are the ones that hurt him. The games that he gets clipped by Michigan State, the games that he gets clipped by Ohio State, like the big games, it always seems to happen. They even rolled back that Notre Dame almost lost to Florida State last year in a very similar style of game. Notre Dame, I think, kicked the field goal and won this year. LSU got their kick blocked. So it's like these are teams, big games on your schedule that you should not be losing to. And like you said, he's not on the field. So like I get the 2 muff punts. Once you muff one, it's gonna happen again. You got to get out of there. It's just in your head. You got to get out of there, especially in that situation. Let the ball hit the ground. Heels at the 10. If it's over your head, don't back up. Let it go. And he did. He backed up and caught it at like the 6, fumble. Thank God that it wasn't a touchdown. But like that happened once early in the game. Kayshon Boutte didn't show up. Like he's the frustration behind, when you see people behind you from the past, right? The reason why people wear number 7 at LSU is because of the dominant Patrick Peterson. Peterson turned into Tyrann Mathieu. Tyrann Mathieu turned into Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette turned into, oh my goodness, sorry,
That's
not
your
Beckham. Yeah, sorry. I know that there's a long list of 7s, right? So like you get number 7, like you're supposed to be that guy, right? Grant Delpit, sorry, was last year, when he was there, and to show up. And no, I don't care if you're like, they're not scheming me to get open. You're the superstar. Get open. You see what I'm saying? Like, make it so that you can catch a pass. And he ran a post in the first quarter. I was like, this is it. That's the game right there. He ran a post. No, he had one-on-one coverage. Granted, there might have been a safety coming over the top, but he didn't even turn for the ball. He just let the ball literally like hit him in the shin and go, oh, what's that? And it's like, all right, hey, do you want to play or do you not want to play? And that type of mentality carried over literally 3 quarters. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, guys, we only got 7 minutes left. We got to play. So you can't wait.
The end of the game was fantastic. The first half was just
awful for them.
On a not serious note, I feel like LSU has to fire Brian Kelly today, just the way he looked on the sideline. The face,
the dirt face.
He looks like such an oaf. Like
he was up there with what's his name? Eli Manning type of zoom ins. Like you just look, he's just like
someone on his staff has to tell him, like, bro, you look so stupid right now. Please stop.
I don't need energy all the time because like that's
but just don't look.
Damn, do I miss Coach O? But like, give me something. Give me a good job. Get off the sideline. All right, defense. Not just like I can't stand this.
It wasn't even that. It was this. Look.
But I'm saying, like, call the play and then just sit there. What's going on? I don't know. So yeah, man. Again, it's
on his lips.
I'm good, and I've said this before. I'll say it again. I'm good with championships from LSU for another 5 to 10 years. Once I get to that 10-year clip is when I'm like, all right, guys, you need to figure it out. But granted,
Yes,
this might not be the year. 2020, I'm still living off of that because it was such an incredible year. But that's how I feel for it.
let's get off of this. Is a touchy subject for the LSU
Yeah.
FSU game. Hopefully, the Tigers have a better rest of the season for your sake. But let's get to something more fun, a segment that everyone loves, who's highly controversial. Yes, that's right, folks. It's time.
Prepare yourselves for the greatest and most unique segment in podcast history. Let's rank some stuff with D. It's time for Frizz's 5.
Woo!
All right, so this week you gave me top 5 Gatorade flavors. I want to ask you, how did we get to top 5 Gatorade flavors as this week's Frizz's 5?
I was honestly thinking it's the college football atmosphere. Like it's watching a lot of pregame recap, pregame like ramp ups. I even like walked over into like the kitchen, was just like, oh, I could use Gatorade right now, and I was like, ooh, bang, why don't we do that? Because it's football season. Like usually, we would be just coming off of camp, ready for week 1. I know what flavors I like, and like we say it every time we get into this segment. It's not your top 5. It's Frizz's my top 5.
I'm excited for this one because everyone knows Gatorade. Everyone loves Gatorade. And I just want to give a little prelude for everyone. Listen, there's a lot of you here now. Stick around. We're going to take your calls after this segment. So you can talk about the Donovan Mitchell trade. You can talk about college football. You can talk about this Gatorade list. It's your choice. So stick around. All right, Darian. Before we start, what are our options here? I'm running through them. Orange, red, purple, green. Is there a green Gatorade? I think so.
Yep.
Yellow, blue, red. Am I missing one?
You said red twice. So yeah, I went off of colors because I'm not a Fed. But if you have the actual like names for them, like that'll help out. We don't call them flavors, man. Come on now. Athletes don't call them flavors. They call them by their colors.
All right, so let's go. Let's start the list.
So,
5.
First one, number 5, right off rip, I'm going with grape. Grape, Riptide Rush, I think is the color for is like the actual flavor. I like grape. Grape juice itself is good. It still tastes a little bit like cough medicine sometimes. It's not like something that I would go grab like let's just say like out of the cooler. But if it's like at Res or something like that, and like all they have is just that flavor, I'm drinking it. I'll definitely drink it. It's not a bad one.
I like grape because when you drink a grape Gatorade, you don't get an aftertaste. Some of the Gatorade flavors you get like it's real sugary, and afterwards I'm more thirsty than I started.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. This one actually could be quick hitters because it's kind of just straight to the point. There's really no build up for it. But number 4 used to be in the top 3, no longer there because I'm an adult now. Red Fruit Punch.
I'm gonna be honest, not in my top 5. That's the one when I think of like one that's sugary afterwards.
Very.
Red's super sugary.
Yeah, it doesn't help me after. Because when I was a kid, you loved the sugar. You were just like, this is awesome, Fruit Punch, everything. As an adult, you're just like, look, man, I'm just trying to get hydrated. I'm not trying to, after I'm done drinking, like I don't need water after I just drink Gatorade. Gatorade should do that for me. But yeah, Fruit Punch is I like the flavor. I definitely like the taste, obviously. It's something that I could drink without it involving sports. Like I could just drink red Gatorade as like a dinner meal, like with my dinner. I'm not gonna do that because we're adults, but like it just has better taste as like as a drink, as the Gatorade as compared to like how the other ones are.
Is it your go-to hangover drink? Is Gatorade?
It was. I don't get hungover anymore. I don't drink. I got 2 little devils upstairs, man. I can't afford to get drunk.
No, for me, like if I drink anything, I can't sleep now. I'm hungover the next day and thirsty as hell. You know why I can't sleep? Because I wake up 30 times throughout the night, drink water. Don't get old, people.
It's not the old Four Loco days.
We can rank 4 Loco flavors next week.
Not a chance, man. Not a chance.
Go all right. Number 3.
Number 3, baby. Number 3. We're going with blue. Cool blue.
Now, is it the dark blue or the lighter blue?
Light blue. Dark blue is too much sugar in it. See, it's like the older you get, the less sugar you really need for it. But light blue is it's like glacier-esque. You know what I'm saying? Like you drink it, it's just like it always seems like it's cold. Very refreshing. So I'm a big light blue Glacier Freeze. There we go. I said if I said the wrong name, my apologies. But yes, it's the Glacier Freeze. It's good flavor. Definitely good flavor for it. Number 3. Again, I feel like the 3 is always like the left out. Top 5. We always talk 4 or 5 is good. 3 is kind of like all right. But number 2, this is when we get down to the nitty gritty because it's gonna allow you to know what number 1 is. It used to be number 1. But it's number 2 now. Orange. I love me some orange, and I'm not going to give it away. I don't give a damn if I give it away because, like, it used to be my favorite Starburst. Orange is not the favorite Starburst anymore. But if you know that orange is number 2, and I'll get your reaction after it, the number 1 tasting Gatorade that is out there. Ooh.
Hold on.
Ooh.
Are you ready for the number 1?
Let's go. It's yellow lemon lime, baby. The best Gatorade flavor out there. There's nothing that touches it. God, yellow is the most refreshing. I literally could drink 3 of them if I'm after camp, after basketball, after football, literally anything. Give me 3 of these yellows. I'm like Stone Cold Steve Austin, baby. Just chugging them down. Like it's the best flavor that's out there. The best tasting, the most refreshing. That shit is always cold. It's out there, man. Like, give me some yellow Gatorade. No matter, I think that's even like the choice of like coolers. Like nobody wants orange, red, or yellow, orange, red, or blue Gatorade when that naturally they call our stuff Gatorade. Those old school commercials, it was lemon lime. It still is lemon lime. It's the best. Whoo, hyped about that one.
I'm glad your list, manifested the way it did because last week I was salty at you for having the Big Bang Theory as a top 5 comedy show, but my 1 and 2 for Gatorade is yellow and orange, but flipped. So I think I had the exact same thing you used to have. I'm with you, man. I like it.
Yeah, big fan. I think, again, orange was up there. It used to be fruit punch. If this were like 15, 20 years ago, it'd go like red, orange, yellow. But like the older I got and the more that I actually was like, let me get some of that yellow. It's like, this is it. This is the flavor, the best one.
All right, so this is the part of the show where we get dangerous and we end up by getting kicked off of Twitch.
Yep.
We're opening up the phone lines. The topic can be, if you want to get after D for his takes on Gatorade, go for it. If you have something from college football earlier, that's fine. When there's no one on the line, we're going to talk about the Donovan Mitchell trade to kind of fill. But as you call in, this is all I'm asking of you. You're going to start. Give me your name, where you're from, and what you got. All right? I don't need, and please be respectful. We don't need any curses, okay? We're going to try to keep this as PG as possible, but it probably won't stay that way.
As much as we can.
So Donovan Mitchell gets traded from the Jazz to the Cavaliers. Can you just run down what the actual trade was so we know that up front?
Yeah, Cavs sent, I think it was Lauri Markkanen, big, shooting big, stretch big. They got a first rounder that first round wing. I'm going to butcher his last name. Not a chance that I get it. And then Colin Sexton, in which Sexton was extended once he got out there in Utah. Good guard, good defensive guard. The big thing, and this is Trader Danny, did the same thing when he was in Boston. It's the draft picks. They accumulated first round picks for 2025, 2027, 2029, and then pick swaps for 2026 and 2028. 5 draft picks. Like, I know that we had said it off air. I think Danny's doing his best to do the same that he did in Boston, which was throw a bunch of picks at the wall. Yeah, if you got to take this one, definitely do that.
All right, so this is our first caller.
Let's go.
See how dangerous we get. So I think they're on hold on mute, so we can't hear them right now. But I'm going to unmute you in a sec. So name, where you're calling from, and what you got for me. All right, go ahead.
Tahi, call him all the way from the Northeast. Check it out. All I got to say is I'm really feeling some type of way about Orange being number 2. I can't even believe it's in the top 5. Like, I am completely, utterly disappointed to the point of I feel like logging off. Orange is the worst Gatorade flavor probably in the cooler. I'm pretty sure every single spot you go to, orange is always available. So I feel awfully disrespected right now.
It's out of the top 5. How? What if orange is out of your top 5? I'm gonna put it on you. what would be your top 5 if orange isn't even in the 5?
Listen, I got yellow, light blue, and that's all that really matters, to be honest.
All right. Hey, listen, I appreciate you in the chat, and I appreciate you, calling in for the first time. Don't come on my show and only give me 2 colors. Come on, man.
Yeah.
If you're gonna question the way that we're doing this, like at least hit me with at least your top 5 so I can question why you ain't got orange out there. But if you're just gonna tell me glacier blue and yellow, come on.
Ty, I'm gonna put you on hold for a second. I have another call, but I want your top 5. All right, so I'm gonna come back to you. Oh, they hung up. So listen, if you're calling, I can only take one at a time. So please, if you don't get through the first time, try again. We're trying to learn this thing together. So Ty, do you have a top 5 for us real quick, or are you just gonna come and criticize orange?
I think we might have lost them.
We lost him. All right, that was fun. Thank you, Ty.
Yeah, I like it. I appreciate that, man.
He gone.
Appreciate you.
All right. So yeah, that was fun. So we were saying, so the Donovan Mitchell trade. Do you have any side of that you actually like?
I like the rebuild, full rebuild. If you're gonna go in, jump both feet in. Like if you don't feather the waters. And we got another one.
Forgot to mute it in between. I gotta get better at this. All right.
Again, hey, the way that we said it at the beginning, please again bear with us as much as possible. This is the first time that we are all learning. This is again episode 5. Not only is it episode 5, this is the first time we're doing live calls. I think this is an incredible segment that will allow us to grow even further as a podcast. But like, there's going to be some growing pains, so please bear with us.
Force the whole show next time and just have people call and give their hot takes.
Yeah, just say one thing and just have everybody call us out on it.
So I think someone's on the line right now. So if you are on the line with me, what name and where you're calling from and what's your hot take or what you got for us? Did I lose them?
I think you did.
See, I'm still learning. I'll put
you need
this
to upgrade that Boost Mobile.
It's T-Mobile.
Yeah.
I legit have T-Mobile and I can't get service anywhere else. All right, I got it again. Let's try this one more time. All right. So, name where you're calling from. What you got for me? Oh, you know what it was? I don't have them. I got to change.
Switch the Bluetooth.
I got to switch the Bluetooth every time. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Again, caller. Name where you're from and what you calling about.
It's Sloan from Rhode Island. I'm just calling about the Donovan Mitchell trade. I gotta say, the Knicks, they were stuck between a rock and a hard place. They didn't have the depth that the Cavaliers had, so I think they weren't really in a position to make that trade. If they made the trade, either they're giving up too many picks if it doesn't involve Mitch Robinson and RJ, or they're giving up too many player assets in RJ and Mitch. Either way, that trade, if they make that happen, Donovan Mitchell's not making them a serious contender right away. So I just don't know where the Knicks are going. I think the Cavs are in great shape after that deal, and I'd probably be pretty excited if I was a Jazz fan too. They got so many picks. I like the new Thunder.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Knicks angle because they're going to have to give up RJ to get that trade done. I don't think acquiring Donovan Mitchell really puts them over the hump. They're probably the 7th best team in the East with that trade.
Lower seed, yep.
And you're kind of kneecapping yourself draft pick wise because you're going to have to trade at least 3 first rounds and 2 pick swaps is what it looks like the trade was going for. And do you really want to build around Julius Randle and Donovan Mitchell for the next 5 to 6 years? Right.
We found out the true Julius Randle where he started off really hot at the beginning of last season and then he fell off second half. So it's like when he became the guy, and then I think RJ took over in the second half was a little bit better. I wish that he was still on the line with us, but I'm pretty sure RJ Barrett had the better second half.
He's still there. So Sloan, do you think that any one party in this trade, the Jazz or the Cavs, made out better than the other?
Well, the Cavaliers, they're in a win now situation. So I think the Cavaliers obviously made it out better, but Danny Ainge, he's got so many pieces, and Danny Ainge with 15 first rounders in the next decade, half decade, I think he's in a great spot too. But I think that the Cavaliers should be happier. They should be really happy about the fact that they got probably one of the top 4 starting 5s in the NBA at this point.
Yeah, they're definitely up there. Their depth is good. Their bench is going to be good, and they have young players. Evan Mobley, came out last year as being an incredible guard, incredible wing as a first round pick. So it's like that's what they needed. They needed that solidified star, not quite a superstar, but somebody that can, Dwayne Wade-ish get you into a championship area. If you can just, bite the bullet and play some great defense, and they got really good length for defenders in the paint.
I think they might trade. Karis LeVert now, because I don't know if he really fits that equation. I do like Okoro. He's a good defender, but he's not very good offensively. But I feel like they might try to solidify that starting small forward spot. But we'll see.
So the one thing that I am optimistic for the Cavs about this trade is, I think what people get a little worried about all these picks going out is they think back to the Nets and Celtics trade with Danny Ainge, where it completely backfired on the Nets, and they could have drafted a guy like Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and they ended up by being Celtics players. If you look at the core of the Cavs, they're all relatively young, and they're guys you have either under contract for the next 4 years. And Jarrett Allen, Mobley, you have them for at least 3 years on a rookie deal left, and likely to re-sign. That's kind of what happens with the rookies after the first deal. And then Garland, they'll probably be able to re-sign him for another 4-year contract. So for the lifespan of those picks they traded away, they have a really good core, and I don't see those picks being super valuable as far as ending up in the lottery. So I don't think it's going to really hurt the Cavs, the pick assets. And then a guy like Colin Sexton, he was already done with the team. And Lauri Markkanen, he improved when he joined the Cavs, but you're not going to stress over a guy like that. So no. I think both sides should be pretty happy, at least based on what the Jazz are trying to do and what the Cavs got back.
I honestly think it was an even trade. Yeah, there's not too many. No, my apologies. But I don't think there's too many trades that happen that you go, oh, both sides kind of made out on that one. This is one of those.
All right, and before we get you out of here, Sloan, orange Gatorade, yes or no?
It's a no for me, Doug.
Wow, get out of here. haters all calling our phone line. Unbelievable, man. I cannot stand it.
Incredible that there's that many people that dislike orange Gatorade. That's strange.
Haters gonna hate. All right, anything else?
A lot of those people probably sleep with their socks on.
Oh God. they still like that red Gatorade stuff, man. They're still in the kid.
Yeah, still 12-year-olds.
All right. Do you have anything else on this Jazz Cavs trade for us?
No, like I said, I think the Cavs, because of the way that they traded, they're in, like you said, like Sloan said, playoff win now mode. They can be a dark horse, one of those like aggravating teams that you just don't want to play because they're just young and fast. So I could see that being an issue for some of those Eastern Conference teams.
Yeah, I think the Jazz, obviously they're in a different mode right now, rebuilding. For them, they want the picks. The only thing with Donovan Mitchell is he isn't a great defender. He has some great offensive skills. That's kind of what his MO was back in the Jazz. He kind of got lazy perimeter defense and put Rudy Gobert in a lot of bad situations, and it kind of worked because they had Rudy. The Cavs do have some good interior defenders.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's still going to be tough on those guys. I will say that the one thing that held the Jazz back was, if people are familiar with playoff basketball, things change dramatically where teams are able to game plan a lot better, because regular season, you're changing opponents every other night, every night, and you can't really game plan. Yeah. And then the playoffs, you're seeing teams 7 times. The Rudy Gobert really held the Jazz back, and I'm wondering how Donovan Mitchell flourishes on a team like the Cavs where their bigs don't have the same weaknesses Rudy Gobert had.
That PNR is going to be a lot better for them at the top.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have somebody I'm pretty sure Evan Mobley can stretch out. You're not worried about You're not worried about a pick and pop with Rudy Gobert. And then I'm pretty sure they still got Kev Love off the bench. Granted, he's not the Kev Love of old, but he's still championship pedigree. Somebody that you'd like to have on your team as the older, the Al Horford. We'll just use that as an example. I don't know if he could be like a playoff Al, the Celtics had last season, but he's that type of player where who knows if this is a kick in the ass for him to not saying that he's playing bad. He stayed in Cleveland. I respect him for being that guy.
He wanted out. He did want out,
but he's still there. So the fact that he is who's to say this couldn't be the year that he just helps them, elevate into another spot.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I mean, Mitchell was able to take the Jazz to a 1 seed. The East is so deep. I couldn't see the Cavs making a push to a 1 seed.
No.
I mean, you never know. They could end up being a top 3 seed this year.
They could be based off of people that don't care about, like, if there's an opportunity for the Nets or the Cavs to be the number one seed, I'm putting my money on it being the Cavs, because the Nets will look at it and be like, we don't care. We don't need to be in the number one spot. The Cavs would be like, oh, we want that number one spot. We want home court advantage. So like I could see that being the driving gauge. But like at the end of the day, like I say, 3, 4, 5 is where they're probably going to finish.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm always kind of a Mitchell's overrated type of guy. Like that's my opinion on him. I think he's a very good offensive player. People love the name. He's fun, but I mean, that's kind of the going rate for a guy of Mitchell's status. 3 first rounds, 2 swaps, and a player. Look what Rudy Gobert got. And I think people would say that Rudy Gobert is probably a lesser player than Mitchell. So
that's a going rate for literally any, again, all-star. I don't want, because they're not superstars, but any like all-star, mid-level, all-NBA player. It's like 3 draft picks and young players.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, good on Danny Ainge and the Jazz organization for having some realization. They could have easily just kept running it back and trying to make a push for the playoffs, but they looked at themselves in the mirror, said that we're not good enough, even though we're finishing with the top couple seeds, and they just rebuild and they pulled the Band-Aid off now when they actually got some value back. So we'll see how it goes. I think we're gonna get out of here. I don't think there's any last callers, but I did want to thank Sloan and Ty for calling. We really appreciate you guys being part of the show. We also appreciate all you watching live, because this thing is the people's podcast. I want to say, like, it's everyone's podcast. So the more you guys contribute, the better we are. Any last things with the viewers there, D?
No, I think you said it. You hit it on the head, man. I appreciate everybody we appreciate everything that everybody's able to leave in the chat, give us a call, make comments, like and subscribe online. Obviously, promote it as much as you can. Whether you're jumping in with the Frizz's stream for video games, or you're jumping here with the podcast, like, everything is appreciated for us to continue growing and making this better for you guys.
And please don't forget, on the podcast, Apple, Spotify, rate, subscribe, review to that thing. We appreciate it all. We'll see you next week.
Peace.